Hello da Tangam, welcome to GullyClassroom. This is the 5th lecture in which chapter sir? In the chapter Life Processes. In CBSE 10th Standard Biology chapter 6, Science book chapter 6, Life Processes. This is the 5th lecture taken in English. This is the 5th lecture taken in English. Okay sir, what are we going to learn in this particular lecture? In this particular lecture, we will learn about the complete circulatory system. What are the components of blood? How blood is transporting oxygen and food materials to all the parts of the body, and we will also learn about lymph. Okay sir. Can we start the lecture? Absolutely Tangam. Come on. Transportation in human beings is done through blood. What is blood? Blood is a fluid connective tissue. What is blood? Blood is a fluid connective tissue. It contains two parts. What are the two parts of blood? The two parts of blood are, the first part is plasma and the second part is corpuscles. Plasma is the fluid part of the blood. Plasma is the fluid medium which is going to transport carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogenous wastes and other salts that are dissolved in the blood to the different parts of the body. So, plasma is the fluid medium that is going to transport food, carbon dioxide, nitrogenous waste, salts in dissolved form. Okay sir, how is oxygen transported? Oxygen has a very high affinity for a particular pigment, for a particular red pigment in blood called as hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a very important part of RBCs. There are three types of corpuscles: RBCs, WBCs and platelets. RBCs are primarily used for transporting oxygen to all the parts of the body. The other name for RBCs is erythrocytes. RBCs are disc-shaped cells which are biconcave, which have a concave surface, which have a hole-like surface on both sides of the disc. RBCs can live for 120 days. What about WBCs? WBCs are white blood cells, are responsible for the immunity of our body. WBCs are responsible for protecting our body from pathogens, from foreign pathogens. They are amoeboid in shape. They can take any shape. They do phagocytosis to invading pathogen cells. They conquer those pathogen cells. They engulf those pathogen cells and destroy the pathogen cells by digesting them. What about platelets, sir? Platelets, technical name is thrombocytes. The primary function of platelets is to clot blood whenever there is a opening in the body. Whenever you are hurt, whenever bleeding is happening, the primary function of platelets, technical name thrombocytes, is to undergo clotting, and prevent the spilling and wasting of blood. So blood contains two parts. We know what is plasma, we know what is corpuscles, we know what are the three types of corpuscles. RBCs, red blood cells, also called as erythrocytes. WBCs, white blood cells, also called as leukocytes. Platelets, also called as thrombocytes. Okay sir, this blood is pumped by which organ? This blood is pumped by heart. Heart is a pumping organ present in the middle of the lungs, slightly tilted towards left. Because the heart is slightly tilted towards left, we are able to hear our heart's thumping sound from the left side of our chest. Because the heart is tilted towards left, we are able to hear the heart's thumping sound towards the left side of our chest. The heart is pushing blood through a network of tubes which reaches all the tissues of the body. This network of tubes is called as blood vessels. Okay, give an overview. Sir, give me an overview of how the blood is flowing in this system. The blood is flowing from the heart. Next it is going to the arteries. The arteries are breaking into smaller arterioles. The arterioles are breaking into even smaller capillaries. These capillaries are joining together to form venules. These venules are joining together to form larger veins. These veins drain blood into the heart. This is the entire cycle through which blood is pumped. Okay, sir. Give me a better idea about what kind of blood is flowing through arteries and veins. Okay, through arteries, oxygenated blood is flowing. From heart through arteries, oxygenated blood is flowing. The arteries break into arterioles. The arteries divide into arterioles. Oxygenated blood is flowing. The arterioles once more divide to form very small capillaries. The speciality of these capillaries is these capillaries have one cell thick wall. These capillaries are the very smallest blood vessel present in our body. These capillaries have one cell thick walls. What is the speciality of capillaries? When oxygenated blood enters the capillaries, let me repeat, the blood entering the capillaries contains oxygen. This oxygen in the blood is given to the other tissues and cells of the body. This oxygen contained in the blood is given to the other cells and tissues of the body for undergoing respiration. Okay, sir. Then what will happen? The other cells and tissues will contain carbon dioxide. How, sir? Because the carbon dioxide that is released from the earlier respiration that was done by the tissues. The tissues would have already been doing respiration. So they will contain some amount of carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide from the tissues will get into the blood vessel. It will get into the capillaries, the smallest blood vessel. The oxygen in the capillaries will get into the body tissues. The oxygen from the capillaries will get into the body tissues. The carbon dioxide from the tissues will get into the blood cells. So the blood coming out of the capillaries will not contain oxygen. It will in fact contain carbon dioxide. It will not contain oxygen. So the blood coming out of the capillaries is called as deoxygenated blood. So these capillaries join to form bigger venules. Venules join to form bigger veins, and veins drain deoxygenated blood. Veins drain deoxygenated blood into the heart. Sir, what is heart going to do with this deoxygenated blood? This heart will take the deoxygenated blood and pump it to the lungs. This heart will take the deoxygenated blood and pump it to the lungs. Lungs will oxygenate the blood and send it back to the heart. Heart will once more send the oxygenated blood throughout this entire body for respiration and get back deoxygenated blood. Heart will once more send this deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Lungs will oxygenate it and send it back to the heart, and this cycle will keep on going. This is basically the idea of circulation. Okay, sir. Kindly give me an example of how to understand circulation better. Okay, let me give you an analogy. Assume the lungs to be has mother. Assume the lungs to be has your mother who is cooking in the kitchen. The mother, the lungs in the kitchen is oxygenating deoxygenated blood. It is adding oxygen. That is done by lungs, which can be understood as mother. Okay, so this oxygenated blood needs to be given to the children. Who is going to give the oxygenated blood from lungs, that is mother, to the children, which is the entire body structure, entire body organs? It is done by heart, which can be seen as the father. What is the heart essentially doing? Look here, the deoxygenated blood from the body is coming to the heart. This deoxygenated blood, which is given in blue color, this deoxygenated blood given in blue color is coming to the heart from the capillaries in the body. This deoxygenated blood is sent through the pulmonary artery to the lungs. The lungs, mother, is oxygenating it, cooking it, converting it into red oxygenated blood and sending it back to the heart. From the heart, once more, the father, the heart, is sending oxygenated blood to the body. The body is once more undergoing respiration, converting the oxygenated blood into deoxygenated blood, and once more the cycle is repeating. Are you able to understand how circulation is being done? Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, let me ask you something. Yes, Kana. Here you have drawn this particular part in blue, meaning that this particular part contains deoxygenated blood. You have drawn this second half of the diagram in red, meaning that this particular part of the heart contains oxygenated blood. Yes, Kana. So, does this mean oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood are separately handled? Absolutely. In fact, this type of a circulation where oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood are separately handled is called as systemic circulation. What is systemic circulation? Systemic circulation is a type of circulation where deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood are separately handled. Why, sir? This ensures efficient supply of oxygen to the body because deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood are not mixed together. Because deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood are not mixed together, we are able to easily transport a lot of oxygen to the body parts. Why do we need to supply a lot of oxygen to the body parts? Because birds and mammals have high energy needs. Why do birds and mammals have high energy needs? They need to maintain their body temperature because they are homeotherms. What are homeotherms? Homeotherms are organisms which have a warm body temperature. Why do homeotherms have a warm body temperature? Their entire body is using oxygen in order to burn food and produce energy 24 hours of the day. This process of respiration is always happening in mammals and birds. So mammals and birds have high energy needs. Mammals and birds are constantly using oxygen to burn food and keep themselves warm. They also use the same process to produce energy. So they need a very efficient method of oxygen transportation to all the parts of the body. That is accomplished by systemic circulation, where deoxygenated blood is kept separately in the right side of the heart. Oxygenated blood is kept separately in the left side of the heart. Sir, stop for a second. Yes, Tango, what is the issue? You just told me that this is the right side of the heart. This is the right side of the heart. You just told me this is the right side of the heart and this is the left side of the heart. But this is my right hand. This is my right hand, this is my left hand. I am not able to understand why you would change this. Tango, listen well. Yes, I understand that this is your right hand and this is your left hand. But the heart is literally facing towards you. The heart is literally facing towards you. When the heart is facing towards you, for the heart, let me repeat, with respect to the heart, in perspective of the heart, this is going to be the right side of the heart. This is going to be the right side of the heart. This is going to be the left side of the heart. Now notice it over here. This is going to be the right side of the heart. This is going to be the left side of the heart. Now are you able to understand how the right side and left side of the hearts are designated? Okay, Kana. Let's get back to the subject. This particular heart is protected by a layer called as pericardium. The heart which is placed in between the lungs, it is actually placed in a membranous tissue which is holding the heart. That membranous tissue is called as mediastinum. Okay, sir. Now please give me an idea about how the heart is functioning. Okay, let me give you an idea. First, understand one thing. The right side of the heart is dealing with deoxygenated blood. The left side of the heart is dealing with oxygenated blood. How am I supposed to remember this? Okay, look here. R means right side. R means right side. If you rub the lower part of R, you are getting D, which means deoxygenated blood. So, right side of the heart contains deoxygenated blood. Okay, sir. What about left? So, if you are going to put left with a larger round, if you are going to put L with a larger round, you will get an O. if you are going to put L with a larger round, with a larger O, automatically you will get an O. So left side is oxygenated blood, right side of the heart deals with deoxygenated blood, left side of the heart deals with oxygenated blood. Will you be able to remember this? Okay, sir. Okay. Now please give me an idea about what is an artery and what is a vein. Blood vessel that transports blood away from the heart is called as artery. Let me repeat. Blood vessel that transports blood away from the heart is called as an artery. How are you supposed to remember this? Away from the heart, A. Artery, A. Away from the heart, artery. Away from the heart, artery, A. You can easily remember this, right? Okay, sir. What about veins? A blood vessel that transports oxygen towards the heart is called as vein. A blood vessel that transports oxygen towards the heart is called as vein. Okay, so how are you supposed to remember this? V, vein, it is made up of two lines. V, vein, it is made up of two lines. Okay, sir. What about T, towards the heart? T is also made up of two lines. V, vein, is made up of two lines. T, towards, is made up of two lines. Hence, vein is a blood vessel which carries blood towards the heart. Now are you able to understand what is an artery and what is a vein? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now let us go for the actual functioning of the heart. Before we understand the actual functioning of the heart, we need to understand that heart has four chambers. Heart has four chambers. The top chambers of the heart is called as atrium or auricles. The lower chamber of the heart is called as ventricles. Okay, sir. What are the specific name of each chamber? This auricle is present in the right side of the heart, so it's right auricle. This auricle is present in the left side of the heart, so it is left auricle. This ventricle is present in the right side of the heart, so it is right ventricle. This ventricle is present in the left side of the heart, so it is left ventricle. Are you able to understand how we are naming the four chambers of the heart? The topmost chambers, the chambers at the top of the heart are called as right auricle, left auricle. The chambers at the bottom of the heart are called as right ventricle and left ventricle. Okay, sir. Now let us go for functioning. The right side of the heart, just like I told you a couple of minutes back, is going to receive a lot of deoxygenated blood. Sir, where are we going to get our deoxygenated blood from? Our entire body will supply deoxygenated blood that has a result of respiration to the right auricle. How, sir? Through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Vena cava means, let me repeat it once again. Vena cava means big vein. Vena cava means big vein. So superior vena cava will bring deoxygenated blood from organs above the heart. Inferior vena cava will bring deoxygenated blood from organs below the heart. Both will fill in the right auricle. The right auricle, when deoxygenated blood is filling in, will be relaxed. The right auricle, when deoxygenated blood is filling in, it will be relaxed. What about the left auricle, sir? During the same time, what will happen to the left auricle? The left auricle during this time will receive oxygenated blood. From where? From your pulmonary vein. The left auricle during the same time will receive oxygenated blood from pulmonary veins. Why is it called as pulmonary vein? Pulmonary means associated with lungs. What is the meaning of pulmonary? Associated with lungs. So the pulmonary vein is bringing oxygenated blood from lungs. The pulmonary vein is bringing oxygenated blood from lungs. Okay, veins means towards the heart. So it is bringing oxygenated blood towards the heart. So right auricle is filling with deoxygenated blood. Left auricle is filling with oxygenated blood. Both auricles are in relaxed position. Are you able to understand until here? So superior and inferior vena cava are bringing in deoxygenated blood to relax the right atrium. Pulmonary vein is bringing in oxygenated blood to relax the left atrium. I have written this in blue because here flow of deoxygenated blood. I have written this in red because here flow of oxygenated blood. Comfortable with how I have done the board? Okay, Kana, let us continue. Now what is happening, sir? Now both the auricles are contracting. When receiving the blood, the auricles were in a relaxed position. When somebody is throwing a ball at you, you need to keep your hands relaxed in order to catch the ball well. But when you are throwing the ball, you need to give force. You need to contract your muscles. In a similar way, when receiving blood, the auricles were relaxed. But when they are punching blood, when they are pushing blood, they are contracting. The auricles are contracting and pushing the blood to the ventricles. The right auricle and the left auricle are contracting. The deoxygenated blood in the right auricle is pushed towards the right ventricle. The oxygenated blood in the left auricle is pushed towards the left ventricle. Are you getting this? So oxygenated blood is pushed from here to here. Deoxygenated blood is pushed from here to here. Let me repeat. Deoxygenated blood is pushed from here to here. Oxygenated blood is being pushed from here to here. Cool, sir. Cool, sir. So, what is this particular structure, sir? In between the auricle and the ventricle, there is a valve which prevents the backflow of blood from ventricle to the auricle. How does this valve function? Let me show you the functioning of this valve. The valve will be something like this. The top part will be your auricle, the bottom part will be your ventricle. The top part will be your auricle, the bottom part will be your ventricle. So, when the auricle is contracting, the valves will open and blood will flow from auricle to ventricle. Okay, sir. Let us say the ventricle is contracting. Won't the blood jump up and get back to the auricle? No. When the ventricle is contracting, what will happen? This particular muscles will move like this and block the blood. When the blood is flowing from auricle to ventricle, the muscles will drop down and allow the flow of blood. But when the blood tries to come up, these muscle flaps will close and stop the flow of blood and stop the backflow of blood from the ventricle to the auricle. Are you able to understand how the flaps, the valve is functioning? Okay, sir. What valve is present in the right side of the heart? At the right side of the heart, we have a tricuspid valve which has 3 flaps. I showed you 2 flaps. Like this, there will be 3 flaps. Okay, sir. What about the left side of the heart? The left side of the heart contains bicuspid valve which has 2 flaps, which has 2 muscle-like structures which will allow blood to flow from the auricle to ventricle. But when backflow of blood is happening from ventricle to auricle, it will simply close like this. It will simply close like this. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So, how am I supposed to remember that the right side of the heart contains a tricuspid valve between auricle and ventricle? It is very, very easy. Look here. Let me write the letter R. 1, 2, 3. So I used 3 strokes, which means the right side of the heart contains tricuspid valve. Okay, sir. What about left? How am I supposed to remember? The left side contains 2 flaps. Let me write L here. L for left. First stroke, second stroke. So L contains 2 strokes. L contains 2 strokes, which means the left side of the heart contains bicuspid valve. The bicuspid valve is also called as mitral valve. Why, sir? Bicuspid valve is also called as mitral valve because it has 2 flaps, and these 2 flaps look like the cap used by ministers in olden days, and these 2 caps look like the cap that was used by ministers in olden days. Hence the name Mitra from the word minister, mitral valve. So the other name for bicuspid valve is mitral valve. When the right auricle is contracting, deoxygenated blood through the tricuspid valve, via the tricuspid valve, is flowing into the relaxed right ventricle. The contracted right atrium via tricuspid valve pushes the deoxygenated blood to the relaxed right ventricle. Get it? Get here? Get over here. The contracted left atrium via the bicuspid valve is pushing the oxygenated blood to the relaxed left ventricle. The ventricle also will be relaxed when it is catching blood. So the ventricle now is relaxed and it is catching blood. This is called as ventricular diastole. Relaxation of ventricles while receiving blood from the auricles is called as ventricular diastole. Let me repeat. The ventricles are getting relaxed. Why? Because they are receiving blood from where? From auricles that are present in the top. This is called as ventricular diastole. The normal diastolic pressure is 80 mmHg. The normal diastolic pressure is 80 mmHg. Now what is happening? Here in the right ventricle there is deoxygenated blood, and here in the left ventricle there is oxygenated blood. Okay, now the ventricles are contracting. The ventricles are contracting. When the ventricles are contracting, the deoxygenated blood, which is drawn in blue color, the deoxygenated blood will be pumped to the lungs for oxygenation. Am I right or wrong? The deoxygenated blood will be pumped to the lungs for oxygenation. So it is moving away from the heart. So the name arteries. Artery means away. So it is taking deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation, to the lungs. When you involve lungs, you will automatically use the word pulmonary. So the right ventricle is pumping deoxygenated blood through pulmonary arteries to the lungs for deoxygenation. Okay sir, let me ask you a question. Yes Kanna, here the blood is flowing up like this. Let us say what ensures that there will be no back flow of blood? What ensures that there will be no back flow of blood? Here there are two valves called as semilunar valves. Here, okay, not exactly two valves. Here there is a valve. There is a valve setup called as semilunar valves. These semilunar valves present in the pulmonary artery, present in the beginning of the pulmonary artery, prevent the backflow of blood, because the right ventricle is pushing blood, the deoxygenated blood, to the lungs for oxygenation. This blood must go to the lungs. It should not get back to the right ventricle. So this pulmonary artery has semilunar valves right here. Okay sir, okay sir. What about the oxygenated blood in left ventricle? The oxygenated blood in left ventricle must get to the rest of the body and provide oxygen to the cells for respiration. So this oxygenated blood in left ventricle, once the ventricle contracts, will be pushed into the aorta. It will be pushed into the aorta, and aorta is the largest blood vessel in the body. It will immediately push all the oxygenated blood to all the parts of the body. Aorta will take the responsibility of pushing all the oxygenated blood to all the parts of the body where and when required. Look here, I have written it here. Right ventricle, what is happening? Right ventricle through the pulmonary artery is sending deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation. Left ventricle through aorta is sending the oxygenated blood to the body for respiration and the resulting deoxygenation, because when respiration is taking place, oxygen is used up and carbon dioxide is produced. So here the ventricles are punching together, the ventricles are contracting together and pushing the blood out. This is called as ventricular systole. Contraction of ventricles when they are pumping, where deoxygenated blood is sent to the lungs and oxygenated blood is sent to all the parts of the body, is called as ventricular systole. What is normal ventricular systolic pressure? 120 mmHg. Sir, how am I supposed to remember? The diastole means ventricles are relaxed and receiving blood. How am I supposed to remember that systole means the ventricles are contracting together and pushing blood? There is a simple idea. Look here, diastole. The ventricles are relaxed. They are receiving blood from the auricles. Diastole. The ventricles are relaxed. They are receiving blood from the auricles. Okay, sir. What about systole? Systole means the ventricles are contracting and pushing blood. Systole means the ventricles are contracting and pushing blood. Are you able to understand this particular idea? Yes sir, I am able to understand how diastole means the ventricles are relaxed and receiving blood. Systole means the ventricles are contracting together and pushing blood out, pushing blood out. So how are you supposed to write normal human pressure? You will write the systolic pressure first and then you will write the diastolic pressure. This is how normal human pressure is represented. You will represent the systolic pressure first, 120, and then with a slash you will represent the diastolic pressure first. So the normal human pressure, blood pressure is written as 120/80 mmHg. Also remember this, the right side of the heart and the left side of the heart are separated by what is called as a septum. A septum separates the right side of the heart and the left side of the heart, and thereby keeping deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood separate. Are you comfortable with the entire diagram and the entire system? Okay, Kana. Let us go for the what is called as a cardiac cycle. Before we understand cardiac cycle, let us first understand how heartbeat sound is produced. Ventricular diastole is happening, blood is being received from the auricles. Ventricular systole is happening, blood is being pushed out. Okay, during ventricular diastole, blood is being received by the ventricles. Blood is being caught by the ventricles like a catch in a cricket match. Like a catch in a cricket match. Absolute poetry. Anyway, getting back to the subject. So, during ventricular diastole, ventricles are catching blood. Lub. The sound will be lub. During ventricular diastole, the ventricles are catching the blood. Lub. During ventricular systole, the ventricles are pushing the blood. During ventricular systole, the ventricles are contracting, pushing the blood. Tub, lub, tub, lub, tub, lub, tub. So the sound of the heart is purely attributed to the systole and diastole of your ventricles. Ventricular diastole, lub. Ventricular systole, tub. Are you comfortable with how heart is working? Yes, sir. Okay, so one contraction and one relaxation is called as one cardiac cycle. What is blood pressure? The force of the blood against the vessel wall is called as blood pressure, and also it is measured by an instrument that is called as sphygmomanometer. There will be an instrument with a cloth. Using the cloth, the doctor will wrap your parents or your hand using the cloth, and then he will try to measure the pressure using a mercury scale that is called as sphygmomanometer. Nowadays a lot of digital sphygmomanometers are also available. Okay, sir, what is the difference between artery and vein? Artery away from the heart, vein towards the heart. Simple. Blood vessels moving away from the heart are called as artery. Blood vessels moving towards the heart are called as vein. Anyway, let us get to the actual points. Blood vessels that carry oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. Okay, artery means blood vessels which are carrying oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. Why, sir? Pulmonary artery is carrying deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs for oxygenation. What about veins, sir? Veins are blood vessels that carry deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein. Blood vessels that carry deoxygenated blood, because veins are carrying deoxygenated blood from the rest of the body except pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein alone, what is it doing? It is carrying oxygenated blood from the lungs. Okay, sir, I am able to understand this thing. What is the second point? Artery takes blood from the heart to all the parts of the body. Vein takes blood from all parts of the body to the heart, towards the heart. Artery, it has very high pressure. It handles ventricular systole, 120 mmHg pressure. So it is handling high pressure. It has thick elastic walls. High pressure, thick elastic walls. What about vein? It has low pressure and thin elastic walls. What about artery, sir? Artery does not have any valves. Why, sir? The high pressure present in the artery itself prevent any backflow. What is backflow? Let's say blood needs to go like this. Sometimes blood will try to come in the opposite direction. That is called as backflow. Backflow of blood in blood vessels is very, very dangerous and it must be prevented at all costs. In arteries, the systolic pressure of the heart itself is very high. So, because of pressure, there is no backflow of blood. But in veins, the pressure is low. So how does veins ensure that blood is flowing only in the forward direction and not in the backward direction? Veins have a lot of valves periodically placed, and these valves ensure that blood is only moving forward and not moving backward Veins have a lot of valves which are periodically placed. These valves are one side gateways, and these one side gateways or valves ensure that blood is only flowing in the forward direction and there is no backflow. Okay sir, what next? Artery is deep seated. It is present deep inside the skin. What about veins? Veins are superficial. You can literally see the veins. If you see your hand over in this part, they will be slight bluish in color. They will be slight bluish green in color because they contain deoxygenated blood. What about arteries? Arteries will be bright red in color because they contain oxygenated blood. So arteries are deep seated. Veins are superficial. Okay sir. What about the difference between auricles and ventricles? The topmost chambers are called as auricles. Obviously, the bottommost chambers of the heart are called as ventricles. So, upper chamber of the heart, auricular atrium. Lower chamber of the heart, ventricle. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. What is the function of auricles? Auricles are blood receivers, blood receptors. What are they doing? They are collecting blood from all the parts of the body. What are ventricles doing? Ventricles are blood transmitters. They transmit blood through ventricular systole to all the parts of the body. Auricles have thin walls and they can handle low blood pressure. Why sir? Because they are only going to receive blood. Auricles are there to receive blood. They are not going to pump any blood. So they have very thin walls. What about ventricles? Ventricles need to do ventricular systole 120 mmHg. So they have thick walls for handling high pressure. Tub for handling high pressure. Okay, auricles increase the efficiency of ventricles. That is basically their function. What about ventricles? Ventricular systole and diastole are directly responsible for our heartbeat. I just explained how ventricular diastole, lub, and ventricular systole, tub, are responsible for our heartbeat. Okay sir, I am comfortable with this part. Let us go for capillaries. Okay, Kana. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessel present in our body. They have a one cell thick wall which facilitates the exchange of gases or food material with the surrounding tissues. Okay, capillaries. Arteries are breaking to form smaller blood vessels called as arterioles. Arterioles are breaking to form smaller blood vessels called as capillaries, and these capillaries can join to form venules. Venules join to form veins. This capillaries brings blood in contact with each and individual cell in the body. This is the function of the capillaries. They have just one cell thick wall, and because of this, exchange of materials between blood and the surrounding cells are taking place through capillaries. Okay sir, let us try to understand about blood platelets. Blood platelets are corpuscles present in the blood that are circulating the body. They plug the leaks that lead to, let us say I have a wound, that can be considered as a leak, and because there is a leak, there is loss of blood. Leaks lead to loss of blood, loss of pressure. Why sir? Why loss of pressure? Imagine that I am having a wound here. So the heart will keep on beating to send blood to this fingertip. But because I have a wound here, there won't be enough pressure for the blood to carry till the finger. This blood will simply spurt out over here. This must be avoided. Okay, so blood platelets plug the leaks that lead to loss of blood, loss of pressure, and if blood loss and pressure loss is happening, reduced efficiency of the pumping system is also happening. If blood loss is happening, if loss of pressure is happening, immediately there is loss of efficiency of the pumping system. All this is avoided by having platelets. If there is a wound, these platelets will immediately form a clot over this wound. If there is a wound, these platelets will immediately form a clot over that wound. Blood platelets help blood clotting at the point of injury. Okay sir, what about lymph? What is lymph? Lymph is a tissue fluid involved in transportation. What is lymph? Lymph is a tissue fluid involved in transportation. Okay, how is lymph formed sir? some amount of plasma, protein and blood cells. What do? They get through the pores present in the capillaries. They escape through the pores present in the capillaries into the intercellular spaces. What is intercellular spaces? Spaces in between the cells is called as intercellular spaces. So when blood is flowing towards the, when blood is flowing through the capillaries, some plasma, some proteins and what else? Some blood cells simply get through, simply escape through the pores present in the capillaries into the space between the cells. The space between the cells is called as intercellular spaces. This is called as lymph. Lymph is usually colorless and has no protein. It is more or less similar to blood plasma. In fact, lymph is majorly made up of blood plasma. What are other points I can tell about lymph? Lymph contains more fat. It has a very slow flow rate. Lymph has more fat and contains and has a very slow flow rate. What else? Let me conclude about lymph with the functions of lymph. So lymph carries digested and absorbed fat from the intestine. What is the function of lymph? The small intestine is the site where complete digestion is happening. All the proteins are broken into amino acids. The complex carbohydrates are broken into simple sugars. The fats are broken into fatty acids and glycerol. Okay, sir. What is happening in small intestine? When fat is broken in small intestine, the digested fat is taken to the liver, is taken to wherever needed through the lymph. So lymph carries digested and absorbed fats from the small intestine. Okay, sir. What is the other function? Lymph drains excess fluid from the intercellular spaces back to the blood. Let us say some more fluid, excess fluid is present in the spaces between the cells. How does this excess fluid get back into the blood? It is filtered back into the blood through the lymphatic system. Also, lymph plays a major role in maintaining immunity. How, sir? Lymphatic system provides a shortcut path for the white blood cells to go to any part of the body. Okay, sir. What are the other functions of lymph? Lymph is used for the production of different immune cells like lymphocytes, monocytes and etc. Yeah, that's basically the function of lymph. We saw what is lymph, how is lymph formed, the properties of lymph. It is colorless. It has no protein, similar to blood plasma. It contains a lot of fats and it has a very slow flow rate. Finally, we saw the three main functions of lymph. Yeah, that's basically the end of this lecture. I hope I did not bore you guys in this particular lengthy lecture. Yeah, cheers and thank you for listening to me. What else? If you like our lecture, obviously recommend our channel to your friends. Subscribe to our channel, click the bell icon. Let us have fun together learning physics, chemistry and biology together. Cheers and thank you.